Hello and welcome. My name is Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind the Country Chic Cottage. Today is the release of the new xTool M1 Ultra. Now this is an all-in-one crafting machine that does a variety of things. So you can do laser cutting and engraving. You can do blade cutting. It has fine point blade, it has a knife blade, a variety of blades that you can use within this machine to cut a variety of materials. Then the machine will also do inkjet printing as well as writing with pens. So there are a variety of quick swap modules that you can use within this machine. Now it does come with two. It comes with a laser module as well as what they're calling a basic module. That will allow you to do laser cutting and use the fine point blade. Then there are a few other modules that you can add on and we'll discuss those later in this video. For now, we're going to take a look at what comes with the basic machine. So if you were to purchase the xTool M1 Ultra, what would come with it? And we'll look at some of those accessories later and of course, make some projects. So if you're interested in what this machine can do, this is the video for you. Now xTool did send me this machine, however all projects and opinions are my own. You will get a user manual that will guide you through the process. The basic module is already installed in the machine and the laser will be separate, and we'll take a look at how to install this in a minute. Then you'll have your smoke exhaust module as well as several filters. You do either want to vent out a window or purchase the air purifier separately. You'll have some sample materials, the triangular prisms as well as triangular prism holders, and we'll take a look at those in a minute. And the power cable and adapter as well as a USB cable. Two cutting mats, both a light grip and a fabric grip, set of 8 different pens. Then you get a small kit that will include your pen holder, your fine point blade, some tools, and a variety of smaller things that go with the xTool M1 Ultra. So now that you've seen everything that comes with the xTool M1 Ultra, we're gonna set it up. Now this is a very quick, like 15-minute setup. From the time you get this out of the box to the time you're cutting, it should be around 15 minutes. So a very quick and easy setup so you can get crafting quickly. You'll wanna remove all of your packaging material first, as well as 3 screws that are located to help to hold everything in place during shipment. The quick swap modules are very easy to install. You just line it up in the grooves in the back and press it down until it clicks into place. Once you have whatever module you're going to place in here in place, you do want to be sure to lock this. This locks it into place. If this is not locked, xTool Creative Space will let you know that, and you'll need to lock this in order to continue. Be sure to add the filter to the smoke exhaust module, and then it just snaps onto the back. There are some magnets and it will just snap into place. Then go ahead and add your power cord, the xTool key that will allow the machine to operate. This is a safety feature and the key must be in place for the machine to operate. Then add the USB cord for the setup process only. You can use Wi-Fi to communicate with the xTool M1 Ultra, but you'll need the USB cord to set it up. Now I can just plug this in, turn it on, and install xTool Creative Space on my computer to operate it. Now depending if you're doing blade cutting or laser cutting, the inside can look a little bit different. So let's take a look inside of this at the options. If you're using a blade with a cutting mat, the cutting mat just goes inside of the xTool M1 Ultra. You'll use the guides that are on the bottom and place the mat within those white guides. For other materials, you can use your triangular prisms. There's a triangular prism holder, and you can put a triangular prism on both ends of the holders to make a square. Then you just insert the triangular prisms wherever you need them and space them however far apart you would like to cut materials with the laser with your xTool M1 Ultra. Before we go any further, let's chat laser safety. Always keep a fire extinguisher and or a fire blanket on hand just in case when operating a laser. You never want to leave your laser unattended during operation, so be sure to stay close by. Now the lid of the xTool M1 Ultra will protect your eyes, and if it's running and someone raises the lid, it automatically stops. You don't have to worry about your eyes with this machine. Now, we did attach the hose to the back, and you do want to vent that out a window or purchase the smoke purifier as an additional optional accessory if you don't want to open your window and put the tube out the window itself. Then you want to pick the right materials to use with any laser that you operate. Be sure if you're using your laser module to cut with the xTool M1 Ultra that they are laser compatible materials. Now if you're using a blade to cut, because this is a machine that utilizes different functions, then you can use some of those other materials that aren't laser safe or laser compatible. There are 4 quick swap modules total. So we had the basic module that came installed on the machine. The basic module can use pens, 8 of them came with the machine. You will need the pen adapter, which also comes with the machine, to use the pens. Then the basic module will also use the fine point blade. Now this is used to cut very thin materials up to 1.5 millimeters thick. Then you saw me install the laser module. I have the 10 watt laser, but there's also a 20 watt laser available. With the 10-watt laser, I am able to cut up to 8 millimeters thick. So these two modules came with the xTool M1 Ultra, and then you can add on other modules. This is the multi-function module, and it is used for other blades. So if you want to use blades like the foil tool, the rotary tool, or the knife blade, this would be the module that you would need. And with this module, the maximum is 2.5 millimeters in thickness. Then finally, there is the inkjet module that allows for inkjet printing. It prints in CMYK on porous surfaces, however, it is not water resistant. So you can print on paper, wood, that type of thing. However, it does need to be porous and you wouldn't want to get it wet after printing. Here's a closer look at the difference between the blades. So you have the fine point blade, the foil tip, the rotary blade, and finally the knife blade. Now I will link to everything that I am using, including the xTool M1 Ultra, as well as all of the accessories that I show in the description below this video. So you can head there at any time if you're ready to purchase or want to check out the website for more information on this machine. So now the first thing we're going to do is to use the laser module to cut and engrave some wood as well as some acrylic. So I do want to use the laser module first, and then we will take a look at changing some of those modules out and some of the other functions of the xTool M1 Ultra. First, let's make a wood project that is engraved as well as cut. We're going to click New Project right in xTool Creative Space. First of all, at the top, I can see that my M1 Ultra is connected via Wi-Fi. And now I want to upload my design. So I'm going to go to File and Import Image. I'm going to import the SVG file. Now we are not going to make all of these things out of wood, so I'm going to go ahead and click Ungroup. And these bottom pieces right here, we're going to pick those, right click, and hide those. Then for these top pieces, this first one, I want to cut it. This I want to cut around the outside, and the tic-tac-toe at the top, I want to engrave that material. So now I have my first project ready to go with a cut and an engrave. You can set your parameters with the Easy Set panel if you would like. For cutting, I ended up using a power of 100%, speed of 5 millimeters per second, and I did add 2 passes. Repeat that for the other cut. For the engraving, I ended up going with the 80% power, 150 millimeters per second on speed, 1 pass, and 60 lines per centimeter. You can easily change these settings via the Easy Set panel, or you can even pick a known material type. Then go ahead and open your machine and add your material to the inside. Here I am using the triangular prisms as well as the triangular prism holder. We'll move the laser head to about the center of the material and go ahead and pick Auto Measure within xTool Creative Space. This will auto measure the thickness of your material. Next, we're going to mark our processing area. So I'm going to mark the entire square of material so I know exactly where my material is within my xTool M1 Ultra. So first click Mark, pick Rectangle and click Start Marking. For the rectangle, you want to mark 2 points, so basically the corners, and you will use the button on the front of the xTool M1 Ultra. Move the laser head by hand, hit the button on the front for 1 point, then move it to the second point and hit the button on the front for the second point. Once you've picked both those points, just click End Marking and then click Done. Now on your screen, you can see your material itself. The red crosshairs also mark exactly where the laser head is. So I went to my machine, I moved the laser head, and as you can see, the crosshairs did move. Now I can move my entire project wherever I want it on my material. So I'm going to put it fairly close to the top corner just to utilize the most out of my material. And so now we have our distance, we have marked our material, and our settings are set for each of our cuts. So now we can go ahead and process this cut. Just click Process. It does tell me my laser module is installed, and it tells me how long it will take. So 9 minutes and 50 seconds to cut and engrave both these pieces. So now we can go ahead and click Start. Then you want to press the button on the front of the machine in order to start the process. Now let's move on to our next project and cut some acrylic. You can import that SVG again, ungroup everything, and then you can delete or hide any objects you don't need. So for the acrylic, I'm just going to cut the X's and O's,
Now I'm going to cut the X's out of one color and the O's out of another. So I actually only need one type. I can go ahead and auto measure as well as mark my material to get a location. I'll change each of these to a cut process type. For acrylic, I ended up using a power of 100%, speed of 5, and 3 passes. You would repeat this same process for both your O's as well as your X's. So with the base machine, you also get the ability to use a fine point blade. So we're going to use that now to cut some HTV. So I'm going to use this HTV in my full project. So let's go ahead and cut HTV with the fine point blade with the xTool M1 Ultra. First, you're going to add the fine point blade to the xTool M1 Ultra. All you have to do is open up the module and add the fine point blade inside, closing that clamp, and then adding the cover to the module itself. Once that's done, you are ready to use it within xTool Creative Space. When you're using the fine point blade, you will also need to use the mats that come with the xTool M1 Ultra. Since I'm cutting HTV, I'm using the light grip or blue mat, adding my HTV with the shiny side down, and then adding that mat inside of the xTool M1 Ultra. And you will note that I removed the protective cover on both sides, both so the material does not move as well as the mat does not move within the machine. Now there are guides on the inside of the Ultra, and the mat itself has a tab to show you which side should go on the right side of the machine. Once we have all that installed, we can design our project within xTool Creative Space. To do blade cutting, we'll need to change the mode, and I'm going to change it to blade mode. You can pick between different blades. I'm going to use the fine point blade for this one. It is going to be a cut type. We will want to mirror this because we're cutting HTV. For this, you can manually set the pressure. So I'm going to set the cut pressure at 165, speed of 300, 1 pass. Now with the xTool M1 Ultra on, I can start the marking process just as I've done before. So I'm going to mark out where the HTV is located inside of the laser. Something that you can add on to this machine is that multifunction head that will allow you to use even more blades. And that includes the rotary blade. I'm going to use the rotary blade within this video to show you what this head can do. Now remember, you can use other blades with this as well, but I'm going to use the rotary blade in my example. So first of all, we're going to change out that laser head for that multifunction head. So all we have to do is unlock, lift up the laser head, then slide the new head into place and lock it down. Then we just need to add our blade. So we'll go ahead and remove the cover, add the blade to the inside. Now it does have an arrow that shows you the front of the blade. You want to make sure that's to the front, push the blade up inside that head, and then close the clamp. Then you can add the cover back to the outside, and this head is ready to cut with that rotary blade installed. Again, when you're using this module, you will need a mat to hold down your material. So here I'm using the fabric grip mat because I'm going to cut fabric with the rotary blade, and I'm adding my fabric to the mat. Once again, you want to add that mat into your machine using the 4 corners as a guide, and the tab on the mat itself needs to be towards the right on the machine. Once you're done with that, you can close your lid and start to process within xTool Creative Space to add your design and cut it. To use the rotary blade or the other blades, you will change to multi-module processing. And then if you click your cut, you can change to rotary blade, rotary cutting. Then you can use the easy set panel to set your cut pressure as well as speed. I'm going to go with 1400 grams of pressure and 20 millimeters per second as my speed. Then I can mark my area as well. So I want to mark the area where the fabric is on my mat, just the same as we did before. Once we're done marking, we can click process in order to start the cutting. So next up, I want to swap this for a head that also is an additional purchase, and that is the inkjet printing head for the xTool M1 Ultra. So if you truly want this to be like an all-in-one craft machine, you want it to do laser, you want it to be a cutting machine, and you want it to be a printer, you will need that additional inkjet printing head. So let's take a look at how you use that head. So when you get the head out of the box, you will need to do a little assembly on it. So you'll need to open it up and add the print cartridges inside. Now it is important not to let the print cartridge dry out. So once you start this assembly process, you want to be sure to assemble it, add the cover to the bottom of the head when you're done, and be sure to keep that cover on when you're not using that head for printing within your machine. The process is fairly simple and it's all explained within a manual that comes with the inkjet print head. Once you have that print head assembled, you will need to swap it out within the xTool M1 Ultra. So again, you're going to unlock and remove whatever head you have installed. Then you'll slide the new head into place and lock it down. And in this case, I did not add my cover back until I added the head to the xTool M1 Ultra. That is because this head has a cord that connects to your laser itself. So once I have it installed and locked into place, then I will plug that cord in to the laser and then add the cover back to the front. This head also comes with a plate that installs inside your machine, and it installs in the lower right hand corner, and you'll just slide it over the stops that are inside the machine. And then it does come with a pack of like paper. You'll add that to the square on the plate. Then when you go to print, you'll take the cover off the bottom of the head and you will add it to this plate. The xTool M1 Ultra will actually put this back on for you once printing is complete. So you take it off manually before you start, but the machine will automatically put it back on. And then once again, this process is going to be on paper, so we are of course going to use our mats. We're going to put the paper on the light grip mat and we're going to add it inside of the xTool M1 Ultra. And then we can take a look at the printing process within xTool Creative Space. For the printing, we are going to upload a JPEG or a PNG file. We'll click over here to the side and we'll make sure the mode is on inkjet printing. Once you do that, we'll click the file itself. And you will notice when you change over to inkjet printing, it will have an area that the ink module can't process. So be sure not to put your objects in that area. You can head to the Easy Set panel for this one, and you can actually adjust the intensity to be more intense or less intense. I'm gonna try about an 80 for this and click close. We can go ahead and mark the processing area. So I'm gonna mark my paper so I know exactly where it's located within the laser. Then I'm gonna click process in order to start the processing and printing on the paper. So I do wanna note, after you click process, you may be asked to calibrate, especially if this is your first time using the inkjet print head. For calibration, you will just follow the instructions on the screen, and you do need a scrap piece of paper for the calibration process. But once that is complete, you are ready to print your first project using your xTool M1 Ultra. So now I thought it might be fun to have those tags printed to actually write on them with a pen, because you can write with pens with this machine as well. This will give the gift tags a little bit more of a handmade look, and I don't have to actually draw the names myself. I can use the machine to write them. So let's take a look at installing that pen and using it with the xTool M1 Ultra. A set of pens comes with this machine as well as a pen adapter. First thing you're gonna do is put the pen inside the pen adapter. Then you'll just remove the cover on the module that comes with the machine. This is the same module we added the fine point blade to, and this time you're going to add the pen. Make sure the adapter is sitting down on the base, and then close the clamp and add the cover back into place. Now this is ready to draw. Now you could draw on plain paper, but here I'm drawing on the paper that I printed in the previous section of this video. I've used the text tool in xTool Creative Space to add some text, and I want to draw this with a pen. So I want to give more of a handwritten look to my name tags without needing to actually write anything on them. So I'm going to click on this outside area and make sure this is set to pen drawing. Go ahead and add your text, and you can do it one of two ways. You can do it as a line drawing where it will outline the entire thing, or you can do it as a color fill, and it will actually use the pen to color in the area. I am going to use the color fill option. Okay, I'm going to click anywhere on the outside edge, and I'm going to go ahead and mark the processing area. Let's head to the laser to see how I'm going to mark this area. I'm going to mark the first corner up in the corner near where my first 2 is, and my second corner in the bottom, the furthest that my from area should be. Then I'm going to click in marking and click done. Now we can see that area on the screen. We can go ahead and resize these to be smaller and to fit within those areas. So my first set of names should be close to this left side, and we do want them to fit within the rectangle that was drawn. So I'm going to resize these a little bit smaller. I want the size of the text to be the same on both of the name tags. So now I have my first set of names, and I have them over to the left, and they fit within the rectangle. The second set of names will need to go over towards the right, not touching that right area, because remember that's the furthest they could be. So I'm going to move them over just slightly and make sure they're within the rectangle. Now that looks perfect, and we can go ahead and click process. I have my pen within the xTool M1 Ultra, and I can click start to go ahead and start the process. So now that we've printed on those tags and we've written on those tags, maybe you want to use this xTool M1 Ultra to cut them out. That's right, you can do print, then cut with this machine. So let's take a look at how you would cut out something that you had printed. First of all, we are going to swap that pen back for the fine point blade. So I'm going to remove the cover, open the clamp, remove the pen. I am going to remove the pen adapter and put the cap back on the pen and put it away. Then we're going to add that fine point blade to the machine the same way we did for those first cuts on HTV. So I'm going to add that fine point blade to the machine, close the clamp, and replace the cover. Now this is ready to cut around what we printed. This is exactly the file I used when I printed the tags. So I'm going to click out here on the outside, and we're going to change this to blade mode. Then we're going to click the file we printed, and we're going to click outline. We're going to add a small offset to add a little white around the outside. This 079 is fine, and you do want to add this inner outline and click confirm. Then we're going to click the layers panel. We're going to click the image and click delete on the keyboard. And now you can see we're left with two squares that are cut lines that are going to cut with a blade. So if we click those, we can see that it's fine point blade and cut. I'm going to use 175 grams and 300 millimeters per second for the speed. And then we want to mark this to ensure that we are cutting in the correct area. We're going to click mark, rectangle, start marking. Let's take a look at how we are going to mark that in the xTool M1 Ultra. So we are going to mark the top corner of where we want to cut, as well as the bottom corner of where we want to cut. Then complete the marking within xTool Creative Space. Then you can move the cut around to where it goes around that area we just marked. This gets a very accurate cut once we click start and actually process the cut itself. So now we've worked on several different projects. So let's take a look at the things that I cut with this machine. First of all, you have the wood that I cut and engraved with the laser. And you can see I cut a backing as well as the tic-tac-toe board itself, and I'll just need some glue to put these two pieces together. Wood did work better with a masking on it. I did not have as much charring around the outside edge. I will note that I was not using an air assist with my xTool M1 Ultra. If you purchase the air assist separately, you'll have less issues with the charring around the outside edge, and you'll probably get a deeper engrave, and it'll probably work a little bit better for you. Next up was acrylic, and I just cut the X's and O's out of acrylic. And again, these look really great. The material I had did have masking on both sides, and I will just need to remove that before assembling my board. Then we have the HTV that I cut with the fine point blade. It cut a little deep, so I might need to play with those settings, but I do love that I can alter the settings so easily and have so much control over the cut settings for any material. Then the fabric piece I cut, now it had some skips and I probably needed a little more pressure with it, but again, I'm so glad that I'm able to add or take away pressure easily within xTool Creative Space. And now I will just need to add this HTV to the bag and sew it up so I can add my pieces inside when my tic-tac-toe board is not in use. Finally, we have those gift tags, and I printed them. I drew the names on with a pen, and I cut them out all with my xTool M1 Ultra. And you can see that these look really, really great. I really love the way they turned out. I'm not particularly in love with the font I used with the pens, but I think that could be some trial and error, and you find your favorite fonts to use with the pens, and whether you like them filled or an outline. However, I do think they turned out great, and this is a great use for all of the functions of the xTool M1 Ultra. And here's a look at my finished project with that bag all sewed up, the HTV added, my tic-tac-toe board assembled, and I love the way this one turned out. So now you saw me use the Space Machine as well as a few additional add-on accessories. There are a few other things you could do. So you could add a riser base to this, and that will raise it up, and that will expand the thickness with which you could engrave something. And that will allow you to add a rotary tool to this machine and engrave things like tumblers. So once you add that base, you get the riser base as well as a honeycomb tray to go on the inside. You add that to the bottom, it raises it up, And then you can go up to like 125 millimeters thick once you have that riser base installed. So you could engrave on top of very thick objects. So the riser base as well as the rotary assembly are two of the accessories you can add. And I did mention the air assist briefly within this video. That's another accessory you can add that will help with char marks as well as getting the best cuts possible with your machine. Now this machine has an 11.8 by 11.8 working area. That means the area inside that your laser head will move and you can actually cut with this machine. The riser base does not alter that, so it doesn't add a pass-through tray. It only alters the thickness that you can cut, not the area itself. So if you're finding this video and you're thinking there's an M1 and there's also an M1 Ultra, what are the differences? With the M1 Ultra, you add a few things. So first of all, you can get a 20-watt head for this machine, so it has an increased power capacity. This machine also has those easy quick swap modules, so it's very easy to swap the modules in and out. And then there are a variety of modules that will work with this machine that will not work with the original M1. That includes your inkjet printing module, that module for those blades like the rotary blade and the knife blade, and then pins worked with this machine where they did not work with the original M1. So this machine adds a ton of features that the original M1 did not have. All right, so now let's talk pros and cons of the xTool M1 Ultra. So first of all, this machine was very easy to set up and use. So it is a very good machine for a beginning user. I do love that it has all the features all in one machine. So laser cutting, blade cutting, printing, drawing with pens, a foil tool for foiling. There are tons of options with this machine and it's all in one. So it takes up a smaller space in my craft room than if I needed 4 or 5 machines to do all of those features. So if I just need the one machine, I feel like that's a very small space within my craft room. And it also is very versatile. So I can make a wider variety of projects. If I saw a project, chances are I could make it on the xTool M1 Ultra. I love the marking process with the xTool. I showed you how to mark your material and locate your cuts with this machine, and I love that for its accuracy. You saw the great accuracy I was able to get with print and cut, and it goes way beyond print and cut. No matter what you're cutting, you can get that very accurate location with this machine and the marking system. It also auto measures your material, which is another pro for me. Then because this machine you can add the 20-watt laser head, I do like the increased power. So even though it's a diode laser, which has some limitations, the increase in power for me sort of makes up for that, where I can cut those thicker materials and do more with this machine. Now, the cons for me is, frankly, it's a diode laser. And if I want to do things like clear acrylic, I want to engrave on certain metals, I might need a different machine to do that with. So the xTool M1 Ultra might not be able to do those projects just because it is a diode laser. Then the only other real con I would have is if the air assist doesn't come with it. I would have preferred the air assist to come with it because I do feel that gets you way better cuts. So it is an additional purchase. So I would just keep that in mind when you're purchasing the xTool M1 Ultra. I would get a package with the air assist included or purchase the air assist as soon as you purchase the laser. I think you'll be way happier with the cuts you're able to get off this machine if you go ahead and get the air assist added. Otherwise, it's probably just the learning curve that you're going to go through with a machine like this. So getting your cut settings correct for all the materials that you love to use and getting to know your machine and how to change those modules out. Now, it was very easy to learn how to do that, and I would probably just need to reference the manuals a few times to remember all the steps for each one of the modules, and after that I think I would have it down. And then if you didn't use like the inkjet head for a few months, you might need to reference your manuals back, but the manuals are very self-explanatory and there are how-to videos online for the steps. So I do think that the learning process itself, although there are quite a few steps, just because there are so many different functions of this machine, it is an easy machine to learn to use. So now all that's left for you to do is to purchase the xTool M1 Ultra. So I am going to leave links in the description below this video. You can head to those to learn more about the machine, or if you're ready to purchase, you can go ahead and click buy now on those links. Now remember to add all of the accessories that you would like with the machine when you purchase, or you can purchase the accessories at a later date. So you might start with a basic package and then add on the accessories as you think you need them. So perhaps the basic package works for you for now, and then later on you're like, I really need that inkjet module. I want to do that print and cut function, then you can add that on at a later date. You can add the riser base at a later date. You can add a rotary accessory at a later date. There are all kinds of accessories that you can add and expand your crafting capability with this all-in-one machine. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions about the xTool M1 Ultra, drop down in the comment section, ask away. If you liked this video and it helped you, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.